In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when I listen to my Ronnie, I listen to my Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air, it's time for Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q. It's time for Ronnie Q. Ronnie Q. It's time for Ronnie Q. In the morning while I'm driving, Ronnie Q. I really come alive when it's time for Ronnie Q. I listen to my Ronnie. Ronnie Q. I listen to my Ronnie. It's time for Ronnie Q. Take a seat and go meet Ronnie. Sweet, 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 sweet Ronnie. No day complete without my Ronnie. She can't be beat. Sweet, sweet Ronnie.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you doing? I hope you had a fabulous weekend. Thank you for joining. Quite an eventful weekend it was as well. So let's get into it. Let me say hello hello to you again. Let me see. I apologize. M. Renee. Hey, M. Renee. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. It's good to see you. 1 second. It is always good to see you. And Renee, please hit the like button on your way in, if you will. Yeah, I like the regular live as well. I understand what you're saying, and Renee. Now, if you guys did not know, Stephen Miller's wife, it just seems like we have to watch different people in the administration. And Stephen Miller's wife, last I heard, she had left the administration to go work for Elon Musk, but now she's back. Elon Musk left the White House and lost all his popularity, and he lost Katie Miller as well. She didn't even get pumped with another one of his mini babies either. They said that they were screwing. It was reported that they were screwing. So I guess that was a short-lived situation, working situation, personal situation, whichever it was. Now we are getting our news from none other than Stephen Miller's wife, who put out a post. So we got to watch all of their posts. Put out a post of Greenland covered in the American flag. And later on that day, we get 47 is talking about invading Greenland for our national security. Now, we have talked about Greenland already. Of course, we've had to talk about Greenland already because when he first came into office, he was talking about Greenland, 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 and invading Canada, and he had to take over Greenland. Uh, what uh, what does our national security have to do with Greenland? Greenland is being paid by Denmark. They get a steady pay from Denmark because there are no jobs or anything on Greenland. So the president, who is bought Elon Musk in to take our jobs, is going to take over Greenland. So what's going to happen to the people of Greenland? Are you surprised that the people of Greenland? Hey, Liz, Livels. Do you think the people of Greenland are excited? And how will this impact our national security? The only thing closest up to Greenland is what? Russia? So we need to protect ourselves from Russia by taking over Greenland? See, I talked to you guys also, the ones that come over here. Y'all know about this sphere of influence that these uh, world leaders, especially 45, 47, are trying to tackle. The sphere of influence that would be 45, 47 sphere would actually go from Greenland all the way down through South America, uh, the islands, Jamaica, uh, Cuba, Jamaica, all Venezuela, all of this. So if you're not surprised, 4547 has actually put out a post of himself, a cartoon post of himself standing on a world map with one foot in Greenland and the other foot all the way down in South America somewhere, all the way down. So he feels that this is his sphere of the world, and he can go through any of these nations and do anything that he wants to, and go rob and steal and uh, pillage all of these nations to make billionaires rich. Now, most of these billionaires who are getting the corporate welfare aren't even American. They are immigrants to America. So, what is all of this doing for the American citizen? Is what I want to know. Nothing. This is doing nothing for the American citizen, and this is doing something to the people who are in the know and who are putting money into his Bitcoin and therefore getting a business and kickbacks and get out of jail free cards. That's what it's doing. And making his family over 4 billion in less than a year in the office, profiting off of the presidency. And it must be nice. I guess it's really nice. So, I talked about the sphere of influence. Uh, Hold on 1 second. I gotta sneeze. Hey, Bird Bird. My goals are up. If you hear something that you haven't heard anywhere before, those to teach you something or share with you something that I have learned because we want to know what is going on in America right about now. Now, the other problem with this sphere of influence is, so what's the end game here? So, if this is the sphere of influence, all of this is the Western sphere of influence, and if Venezuela is doing business with China and who else? Russia. If you're unaware, Russia has come out and said that they were disappointed and they want Maduro back in office. Even hinting and talking about nuclear weapons. So, curious. Yes, the same Russia who invaded Ukraine. So, it made me think that Russia has the nerves to invade Ukraine, but wants the U.S. To not do anything to its business partner in Venezuela. So, if this is the sphere of influences, so would Russia be okay with it? Would Russia say, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna let you have it this time"? If 45-47 says, "Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let you have Ukraine," because 45-47 has always showed us that he didn't care to what happens to Ukraine. He has long told us this, talking about trying to blame everything on the Ukraine who was invaded, saying that they spent too much money when in fact they're mostly sending weapons and old equipment. And he's equating it to a dollar amount that has been spent in the Ukraine. So, is this going to be a little easy swap that they're going to try to do? Okay, your mother's retarded. How about that? How about that? But you cannot talk about anything that I'm talking about. You cannot talk about anything I'm talking about. Hey, prototype, it is good to see you. So now we also have the fact that China is doing business with Venezuela. See, because all of this, we sanctioned Venezuela, and okay, the U.S. has sanctioned Venezuela, but China does not trade in the U.S. dollar anyway. So I've also told you about BRICS. I also told you about BRICS has set up their own monetary system where they no longer have to uh, stockpile the American dollar. And this right here is one of the reasons why they have set up BRICS. Grand Rising, Kimberly Black. This is one of the main reasons why they set up BRICS, because they don't have to worry about their money being in the World Bank and being taken over and frozen, like what happened to Iran before Obama released their money that was in the World Bank after they came under scrutiny and allowed the inspectors to inspect their nuclear arsenals. Well, not their arsenals, their nuclear. Uh, what is it? What were they doing? Their to inspect what they were doing with their uranium, their enrichment program, enrichment program, and then their money was unfrozen. So to forget about all of that, to forget about the way that oil is sold in the United States and all across the world, oil is sold based on the dollar standard, which means that everybody who is buying oil across the world had to buy it under the dollar. So they had to have dollars because every nation needs oil. But here's something that you may not be aware of, and this is something that was set up with I believe Saudi Arabia, and this they were on the dollar standard. But you may not realize that contract where all oil had to be purchased under the dollar standard, that contract was over in 2024. So we know that 45, 47 was capturing oil tankers going to and from Venezuela a couple of days before he attacked them. You know that that oil is reported to have been going to China, and um, they didn't purchase the oil using dollars. They purchased the oil using the Chinese yen. This is they didn't even use the dollar. And you know why they don't? You know who else don't use the dollar? BRICS. BRICS don't use the dollar standard. They let every nation pay with their own money. If it's a ruble, if it's a yen, the yen, they pay in trade with their own money. So does that sound like Venezuela was about to get off the dollar standard? If it doesn't, that's what exactly what it means. And the fact that all of these nations must trade in the dollar is the problem. Is the problem that the United States is facing. Because if more nations go and do what the fuck they want to do, the United States can print up more money. The United States won't have other nations buying bonds. And what will happen to the United States? It would fail. It will fail. The same thing that I talked about this when I started talking to you about the BRICS. All of the nations that are joining the BRICS. So what do you think that all of these nations are doing now that 45, 47 has come in here slinging balls and don't know how to run a motherfucking successful casino? He's ruining America, in my opinion. Okay, let me share a little information with you. Where is this? Let me share this with you. Um, Anybody listening? Okay, let me see something right quick. I want to share this with you. Uh, yeah, I have definitely talked about this. Now it seems the day has come when this is exactly what is going on in the United States. Now, what's also unfortunate about this whole thing is that 45, 47 said he is going to, they are going to run Venezuela. They are going to go to a nation that is being paid by Denmark money because they have no economy. And 45, 47, in the meantime, is cutting all our social safety nets and health insurance. So, where he's going to run these countries? In the ground? Where exactly is he going? He's not running the country that these yokos elected him to run. So, let that sink in. Let me share something with you. You don't have to take my word for it. You know, Ronnie Q don't know nothing. She don't know what she be talking about. Let me share this with you. Uh, let's go here. This is a economic warning. I would like to share this information with you. Hey, foot soldier, Grand Rising. Italy, Iran, China, Russia, Venezuela. It's not going out without a fight. It's about to get very active. I concur. Now, we do know that 45, 47 had the audacity to say that he's going to possibly strike Cuba next. He talked about Cuba. He's talked about Iran. He's talked about striking Colombia and one other place. All of these different places. The only one that was out of their sphere of influence was Iran. But he's talking about all of these places that he will go to and strike. Hey, oh, that's M. Renee. Oh, no, that's Lena. Hey, Lena, pretty brown eyes. Let me share this with you guys. All of my links will be in the description box if you want to go back to them. I'm not going to play the whole thing. There is something in this that I want to share with you. Some information right here. This is what really happened in Venezuela and why it matters. I think let me see if I can find it right here.
Venezuela was on the verge of officially integrating its energy sector into China's cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS. They were preparing to price their entire reserve, the largest on Earth, not in dollars, but in a basket of currencies led by the yuan and backed by gold. If this had happened, it would have been a signal to the entire global South. It would have proven that you can possess massive resource wealth outside the American banking system and survive. Washington saw this as an existential threat. Let me explain why this matters so much. The American dollar is not backed by gold. It hasn't been since 1971. It's not backed by industrial productivity. The manufacturing base has been hollowed out for decades. It's backed by one thing, an agreement made 50 years ago with Saudi Arabia. Oil must be sold in dollars. This is the magic trick, because every nation on earth needs oil. Every nation needs dollars to buy it. This creates permanent artificial demand for U.S. currency. It allows the United States to print trillions of dollars, export the inflation to the rest of the world, and never face the consequences. This system is called the exorbitant privilege. It's the source of American prosperity for half a century. But recently, the magic started to fade. In June 2024, the Saudi-American petrodollar agreement formally expired. Saudi Arabia did not renew it. They now accept Chinese yuan for oil sales to China, their largest customer. In November 2024, the United Arab Emirates processed $128 billion in bilateral trade with China, completely in yuan. Russia sells oil to India in rupees and rubles. Iran sells to China in yuan. The dollar's share of global foreign exchange reserves fell from 71% in 1999 to 58% in 2024. Each percentage point of decline represents approximately $350 billion in reduced demand for U.S. Treasury bonds. And this is where Venezuela became the red line. If Venezuela's oil disconnects from the dollar, the demand for U.S. Treasury bonds collapses further. Interest rates spike. The entire debt-based economy of the West, which depends on cheap borrowing, implodes. So Washington had a choice: accept the new multipolar reality and negotiate as an equal partner, or use the one asset they still have in abundance. Military force, they chose the gun. The operation itself was, from a purely tactical standpoint, extraordinary. And we need to acknowledge that because it tells us something about what comes next. Dan Caney, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, gave a presentation after the press conference. He said they'd been preparing for this for months. They rehearsed it. They had someone very close to Maduro feeding them intelligence. They knew where he ate, who he ate with, what pets he had. They'd been waiting for the right weather conditions. For several days, the operation was ready to execute, but weather kept delaying it. The minute conditions aligned, they moved. Helicopters came in. Electricity was reportedly cut in key areas. Air defenses were neutralized. Delta Force operatives, including, and Trump made a point of mentioning this, a 49-year-old operator extracted Maduro from his residence. No American casualties. Maduro is now on a U.S. warship heading to New York to face a sealed indictment that's been waiting since 2020. Trump, at the press conference, couldn't contain himself. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "You're probably never going to get to see what I saw last night. It was amazing. These guys were moving so fast." He was watching it in real time from Mar-a-Lago like it was a reality TV show, which in his mind it was. But here's where the spectacle ends and the consequences begin. Trump and Marco Rubio were asked repeatedly at the press conference, who's going to run Venezuela now? How long will American forces be there? What's the plan for governance? And they had no answer. Rubio went up and gave a rambling speech about how, when Trump says something, he means it. You've got to take him at his word. But there was no actual plan presented, just vague references to these guys behind me running things, gesturing to Pete Hegseth, Stephen Miller, and others. These are not people who are going to sit in Caracas organizing public infrastructure. Trump did say that American oil companies will go in and help Venezuela rebuild its energy sector. He was very explicit about this. He said it's pathetic how much they've been producing given their reserves, and American companies will fix that. But here's the problem that anyone who studied post-conflict reconstruction understands immediately. Venezuela is not Panama. This is not 1989 when George H.W. Bush sent forces in to remove General Noriega. Panama had 3 million people. Venezuela has 30 million. Panama had a massive American military base in the strategically vital Panama Canal. Venezuela has neither. More importantly, Maduro was not a personalist dictator. This wasn't like removing Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi, where the entire state structure revolved around one individual. Maduro rose within a system, the Chavista system, a network of generals, intelligence chiefs, judiciary officials, and paramilitary groups called colectivos that control everything from ports to food distribution. The defense minister is still in place. The interior minister, Diosdado Cabello, one of the most powerful figures in the regime, is still there. The vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is still there. All of these people control pieces of the economy. Venezuela has, and this is a critical detail, multiples more generals compared to the average soldier than anywhere else on earth. About 20 times as many as you would expect in a normal military structure. Every general has a monopoly somewhere. They control mining concessions. They control ports. They control oil distribution. The military doesn't just defend Venezuela. The military is the economy. So what happens now? Does the Nobel Prize winning opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, come in?
Let's talk about Maria Machado. She has she's the opposition leader. She was not allowed to run for president, but the polls show that if she had been allowed to run, she had a 92%. 92, she would have won by 92%. If it wasn't higher. I think it was 92%. So she was that popular in Venezuela. She still is that popular in Venezuela now. She has something like a 72 or 74% popularity, the opposition. What did 47 tell you about her taking over? He said that the vice president has sworn herself in, and if she doesn't do what we want her to do, she's not going to last long. He reiterated that again last night on his jet. He basically said if she don't do what she's told to do, then we're going to take her out as well. That's what he told you. But he told you that he was taking Maduro out for being a narco-terrorist. But and Marco Rubio sat and stumbled all over Sunday programs Meet the Press and George Stephanopoulos show, he told you that no, this is not we didn't need to go to Congress because this wasn't a military action. This was more like a police action. He had a warrant out for him, so we went in and we arrested him on his warrant that he has. But if that's what it was, everything's good. You have him. All is good. Carry on, Venezuela. No, all is not good. Because 47 said if they don't do what they're told to do, this vice president, she will be put out of office. So when they asked him about this opposition leader who has this high approval and these high ratings with the Venezuelan people, the same stupid bitch who won the Nobel Peace Prize and gave it to 47. This bitch bowed down and licked ass. She gave her Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump, this same woman. What did he say when he was asked, well, would you think about turning it over to the opposition leader? He said, no, she's not respected by the people. She's a nice lady, but no one respects her. No, he does not respect her. He don't respect her. And that was the ultimate disrespect of her. But that's what a lot of people are finding when they bow down and kiss the ass of 47. They get no respect. So I just wanted to say that.
And say, I'm bringing transitional justice. I'm prosecuting the top figures in the Maduro regime. If she does, every one of those generals is going to think, hold on, I own a mining concession. I don't trust Donald Trump. I don't trust this amnesty. Why would I give up power and wealth and risk prosecution? Either they cling to power and try to cut some deal with Richard Grenell, Trump's envoy, to secure their assets, or they resist. And if they resist, Trump has already signaled what comes next. At the press conference, he said very clearly, we had a second wave of attacks ready to go. He repeated this multiple times. The message was obvious. Fall in line or we hit you again. But this is where the operation, tactically brilliant as it was, becomes strategically catastrophic because the rest of the world is watching. Every country in the global south, from Nigeria to Brazil to Indonesia, is looking at Venezuela and thinking the same thing. If we refuse to sell our resources in dollars, will they come for us next? This fear does.
He's also talking about more strikes on Nigeria. And if the Nigerian people don't stop these Christians from being killed, we're going back in guns blazing. When there have been more Muslim people who have been killed in Nigeria and continue to be killed in Nigeria. He did a big Merry Christmas bombing in Nigeria, and on Christmas Eve, there was a mosque that was destroyed. But did he say anything about that? Did he say anything about that? No, he said absolutely nothing about that. By the numbers, this tribal stuff that they have going on in Nigeria, he actually struck a part of Nigeria that does not even have this tribal these tribal killings of Muslims and Christians. They're not killing them because they're Christians. They're killing them because they're warlords in that part of Nigeria. Understand this. But he is reporting to you and these naive dummies, the uneducated, that they are fighting because they're Christians. They're not fighting because they're Christian. What's Christian about this nation? What's Christian about your government? What's Christian about these people on the right who are trying to hide and wash and erase names of people who had pedoed young girls? Is that Christian right? They want to pretend like this is a Christian nation, as this is what your government is doing. As he told Marjorie Taylor Greene, don't sign this what was it called? So do not sign on to this law that will make the Department of Justice release all of these files. He told Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she does have witnesses because she had his ass on speakerphone. You're gonna hurt all of my friends. You're gonna hurt my friends because their names would be released in these pedophile papers. So this the Christian nation these people like to speak of, where you have all of these numbnuts in Turning Point USA, all of these dumb nerds in Turning Point USA who can't get a piece of pussy, who are so maladjusted in life that they want to blame everything on everyone else instead of people telling them, man up. This is how you talk to a woman. You have all of these. We're Christians and we're God. You're not. You're not anything. You're an imp. I understand you're mad that you're an imp and a simp. Uh, this is what we have. All of these young, now they want to put these Turning Points USA in high school. And if you really take a look, I talked to you about this Turning Point USA after Charlie Kirk was shot. I talked to you that this is absolutely working. They had them in all of these colleges. And now you have all of these victims. Oh, they're treating us so badly. They're putting our pictures up all across our campuses because we're members of Turning Point USA. We're being bullied because we're members of Turning Point USA. So, is being a part of college means that you have to be a part of Turning Point USA? There's a large swath of these poor abuse. Why are you doing it to me? Victimize non-black people all across this country, and they want to indoctrinate this into high schools because that's the long play that they're playing. These are the voters who will most likely be able to vote in the next election. This is the long game.
Not create loyalty. It creates an exodus. Let me show you what's already happening. At the BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia, in October 2024, Vladimir Putin announced the development of BRICS Pay, a blockchain-based cross-border payment system that completely bypasses the US dollar. Brazil is already piloting it for agricultural trade. South Africa processed its first diamond transaction in November. Iran and Russia are settling arms sales through it. Venezuela has just applied for formal BRICS membership. If accepted, and it will be, its 303.8 billion barrels of oil reserves will be integrated into an economic architecture completely isolated from Washington. The transition has already happened. The world simply hasn't realized it yet. China's official gold reserves increased by 225 tons in 2023 alone. Actual purchases are probably double that, made through Hong Kong imports that aren't fully reported.
Why does China have so much gold reserve? Because they no longer have to reserve the dollar. I told you about that when it was happening many months ago. That all of these nations were stockpiling gold. And if you come over to Ronnie Q, you may not know what Skeezer Lemon is pretending like he's interested in, but you do know about what's happening in the real world. You may know that. Okay, so we've talked about this in depth over here on my channel. The link is in the description box. If anybody want to hit the link, I'm going to pin it to the chat as well.
Russia was completely excluded from SWIFT in 2022. Their response? Build the financial message transfer system, now processing 30% of Russian domestic payments and expanding to 159 financial institutions in 20 countries. China launched CEPS in 2015. As of early 2025, it connects 1,423 financial institutions in 109 countries. It processes $436 billion in daily transactions, completely outside dollar-based clearing systems. The BRICS expansion in 2023 added Saudi Arabia, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Ethiopia. That's 45% of the world's population, 36% of global GDP in purchasing power parity terms, and control of 72% of the planet's proven oil reserves. By attacking Venezuela to secure its oil fields, the United States has proved exactly why the world needs an alternative system. They've validated every speech Putin and Xi Jinping have ever made about American unilateralism and aggression. Before this operation, countries used the dollar because it was convenient, stable, and the infrastructure was already there. After this operation, countries will dump the dollar because holding U.S. assets now means you're vulnerable. It means your sovereignty is conditional. The petrodollar is no longer a trade agreement. It's a hostage situation. Now let's talk about the legal dimension, because this...
Okay, so he talked about earlier in this. I found this riveting. He talked about this earlier about the United States crude oil that they are pumping and that they are refining. That the U.S. oil is light oil crude, but actually the U.S. need that sludge thicker crude that Venezuela has plenty of, and this is what Venezuela is actually pumping. He compared the crude that our refineries are refining to champagne. And I think he described the crude that Venezuela is pumping something, I think he called it like honey, thick like honey, while we are refining something like champagne. I forget the exact thing that he described Venezuela's crude as, to give you a picture of what we are. Well, now he also talked about our reserves that have dwindled down to below the things, below the amounts that we will need. Our oil reserves have dwindled. So, uh, Prototype said something very interesting. The vice president of Venezuela. Now, when 4547 came to you and lied to you and said that the vice president of Venezuela is going to do what they want her to do, she came out, and what did she tell you? I just know what she said. I don't know anything about too much about their politics or anything, but she said that Maduro is their president, and they want him released and they want him back. It does not seem like she's going to do exactly what they tell her to do. It doesn't seem like that at all. So let's get into the lies that happened over this weekend. Knowing all of this, Marco Rubio had the audacity to show his face on the morning talk shows. And we're going to get into it. The writing has been on the wall for years regarding the changes in currency. These nations are ready as they should be. As they should be. As 4547 is out here telling you that he's gonna do something to these other nations. I'm gonna put tariffs on these other nations, and it's gonna bring so much money into the U.S. Well, how is that working out for you, as you are the people who are paying the tariffs? I'm really serious. I really want to know, how is that working out for the American people who have been taxed because the American economy is a economy of purchasing things, because we actually don't mass produce things that we trade out to other nations that they will be taxed on, that would bring the money back to the United States. So he has these idiots sold on. Well, we are bringing back this money. We're bringing it back in, and people promising to create businesses. There's a lot of people who are making these. We're gonna investments. We're gonna invest $800 billion in the United States, but it takes time. He said he was going to bring down prices on day one. Well, egg prices are down. Egg prices are down because the bird flu is over. You want to pretend like egg prices was just up because that's something that the Biden administration didn't give a fuck about. Anytime that there's bird flu and they have to destroy chickens and their eggs, there's going to be a egg shortage. But what has ever been done about price gouging? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What has been done about all of these millionaires and billionaires who hire these undocumented workers to work for them? What has been done to them? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What has been done to all of these insurance companies who you pay your insurance to, and then they skimp on the services so they can have more money to share with their stockholders? Nothing. Because that's the American way if you're a billionaire. Let the people suffer. But you have a whole lot of ignorant people who are buying into this hook, line, and sinker. Now, let's get to keg breath, shall we? No, no, no. We're going to get to Marco Rubio on these morning shows. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, where is it? Here we go. Oh, I have the wrong thing pulled up. Hold on. I'm like, where is it? This is old. Hold on. Let me get the right notes that I have. I apologize for that. Let me get the correct notes. Oh, here we go. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into what they are presenting to you on these Sunday shows. Where is Marco Rubio? Here we go. Let me share my screen with you. Does any of this that Marco Rubio is talking about make Hillabine a sense? No, it's not. This is going to be in my description box as well under Rubio. Let me share this with you and let's get into this. And look at the face on this. Look at the face on him.
This morning, President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains.
The national interest of the United States came first, and the Venezuelan people. But I thought that you said that this was not any type of military action. I thought he's going to go back and tell you that this wasn't a military action. This was a police action. But you hear what he said right here.
Leverage is ongoing. People forward until the conditions that are in the national quarantine. Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains, that leverage is ongoing, and we expect that it's going to lead to results here. We're hopeful that it does, positive results for the people of Venezuela, but ultimately, most importantly for us, in the national interest of the United States. We will no longer have, hopefully, as we move forward here, we'll set the conditions so that we no longer have in our...
For the people of Venezuela, but mostly for us. Mostly for us. But I thought that this was about narco drugs. But that wasn't even the question that was presented to him. Under what authority will the U.S. be now running Venezuela? So they are trying to make you believe that you have something to gain out of this. What will you be gaining out of this? What have you ever gained when they go and have these regime changes? What most American citizens gain? They gain the death of their loved ones who are serving in the military. That's the biggest gains that the average American people get out of these types of fucking bullshit ploys. But they want to feed it to you like you're going to benefit from this.
hemisphere of Venezuela, that's the crossroads for here in the national interest of the United States. We will no longer have, hopefully, as we move forward here, we'll set the conditions so that we no longer have in our hemisphere of Venezuela, that's the crossroads for many of our adversaries around the world, including Iran and Hezbollah, is no longer sending us drug gangs, is no longer sending us drug boats, is no longer a narco trafficking paradise for all those drugs coming out of Colombia to go in through the Caribbean and towards the United States. And obviously, we want a better future for the people of Venezuela. We want them to have an oil industry where the wealth goes to the people, not to a handful of corrupt individuals and stolen by, pirates all over the world. That's what we're working towards, and we intend to use the leverage we have to help achieve that.
Let me ask the question again. What is the legal authority for the United States to be running Venezuela?
Well, I explained to you what our goals are and how...
No, he didn't ask you what your goals were. He never asked you what your goals were. Let me ask the question again. What is the legal authority for the United States to be running Venezuela? And you got a whole lot of word salad that means nothing to nobody, talking about there would not be certain people who are only a few people who are gaining money. How are you going to give the money back to the Venezuelan people? The Venezuelan people don't need you to tell them how you're going to give them their money back. If the opposition leader, if the vote is set like it is supposed to be set under the new vice president of Venezuela, there is a period of time that Venezuela will have to have a national vote. What do you have to do with that? And if the opposition leader, who is still popular, who 47 says that she's not respected, if she win, she's supported by the people of Venezuela. Yeah, you want to say that Maduro was an illegal president because he was, and he did something like he did the same thing that 47 did in 2020. He stopped the counting of the votes. You remember when 47 came out and claimed that he had won the 2020 election before they had finished counting the votes? Do you remember that happening in the United States of America? Because he definitely took the stage and said an acceptance speech. He definitely told different states to stop counting the votes. That was the first. That was the first lie that he did, trying to steal the 2020 elections. So he did the same thing Maduro did, but Maduro did something wrong. Is this what y'all saying? Y'all forgot about that? Well, I'll remind you about that. He did the same thing Maduro had done. But y'all want to say that Maduro is illegitimate? I guess it takes one to know one.
We're going to use the leverage to make it happen. As far as what our legal authority is on the quarantine, I'm very simple. We have court orders. These are sanctioned boats, and we get orders from.
He didn't ask you about the legalities about having a quarantine. What is your legal how is it legal for you to run a whole nother nation is the question. Are we going to pretend like you don't remember what, as far as our legal order about the quarantine, we get direct judges rulings, we take this shit to judges. All of a sudden y'all follow the judges rulings when it says you can quarantine ships in another country. But you cannot follow judges' rulings when it has something to do with the racism and hatred and the shit that you are doing in your own country. You're activist judges, and these are activist judges, and we're not going to stand for these activist judges. Which one is it? You notice that? You notice that a lot? I noticed that.
From courts to go after and seize these sanctions. So that's, I don't know, is a court not a legal authority?
So is the United States running Venezuela right now?
Well, I've explained once again, I'll do it one more time. What we are running is the direction that this is going to moving forward. And that is, we have leverage. This leverage we are using and we intend to use. We started using already. You can see where they are running out of storage capacity. In a few weeks,
leverage. You have leverage. So, no, we have a baseball bat. We are going through this country because we have nuclear weapons and we are bullying this country. Leverage is different than the legal authority. You notice how he keeps running away from what legal authority do they have to run this nation? None.
They're going to have to start pumping oil unless they make changes. And that leverage that we have with the armada of boats that are currently positioned allow us to seize any sanctioned boats coming into or out of Venezuela, loaded with oil or on its way in to pick up oil, and we can pick and choose which ones we go after. We have court orders for each one. That will continue to be in place until the people who have control over the levers of power in that country make changes that are not just in the interest of the people of Venezuela, but are in the interest of the United States and the things that we care about. That's what
So why is it upon the people who are in power of Venezuela to care about American interests, not until they make changes that are going to improve the lives of Venezuela, but more importantly, they make changes that the United States is going to approve of. Make that make sense? Make that make any sense? This is what Marco Rubio, this is the dumb shit that Marco Rubio and these clowns in this administration was actually saying out of their mouth. That you are going to get your wealth out of the ground and we're going to tell you what you must do with the wealth of your nation. Because what you do with the wealth of your own nation has to be approved by the United States of America. You know, the same country that needs your wealth, the same country that is being blocked out, the same country whose dollar is dying. You need them. They don't need you. We have talked about the fall of great nations. Great nations always fall, and usually the ones that fall hardest have the most arrogant leaders. The arrogant leaders who try to rule with brute power instead of negotiation power. And this is what we have in this president. Let me tell you. I have talked about the isolation that this president has caused the United States. More and more people are looking at the United States. These tariffs have these tariffs that he put on all these other nations have made them go to other partners to trade with instead of the United States. This president is isolating the United States under the guise that we have power. And how can they continue to do that? They can continue to do that when this for-profit media don't tell you and remind you how bad this economy that we are living in is. When the for-profit media don't tell you how badly the dollar is shrinking. When this for-profit media don't tell you a goddamn thing about what BRICS is and what BRICS does and how BRICS is fucking about to ruin the dollar even further. And thanks to 45, 47 and his bullshit, there are more and more nations joining the BRICS alliances. But he has these billionaires in his pockets giving him 100 million here, 100 million there, 5 million here. These mouthing this investment that they're going to put into the U.S., sitting at a table of these tech billionaires who are talking about, did I say the right amount? I didn't know if that's the number you wanted me to say. With cameras telling you how much they're going to invest in the United States. And what does that profit you? These are the same motherfuckers who are racing to create the greatest AI that will sideline all of your jobs. If you're unaware, I told you recently that Amazon has decided to not take a lot of contracts back. The contracts that they have for the drivers, these drivers technically don't work for Amazon. That's how they can say that they have to pee in bottles and they don't have time to stop to get lunch. They don't have time to stop to go to the bathroom. And Amazon be like, that's nothing. We don't make those rules. These jobs are done by private contracts that sign on with Amazon. You got to talk to them individually. I don't know who works that region. We'll get back with you. That's how a billionaire can have a worker working for them and pretend like they are unresponsible for the work conditions of their workers. If you're unaware, they let a lot of these contracts with the people who hire Amazon drivers. They have let them expired. And you know what Amazon is doing now? The big thing that Amazon is doing now, they're having drone packages delivered, not to your front porch. They'll drop them on your front lawn. If it roll onto the sidewalk, whatever, we dropped it. We just know we dropped it. This is the new thing that Amazon is doing now. But you can't tell a dumb motherfucker to stop shopping with Amazon. Because they don't work at Amazon. I don't work at Amazon. Let's continue. I don't know why I'm on Amazon.
Was asked yesterday.
The legal authority is the court orders that we have. The changes that are not just in the interest of the people of Venezuela, but are in the interest of the United States and the things that we care about. That's what
when
we
the president was
do.
asked yesterday.
The legal authority is the court orders that we have.
When the president was asked yesterday who'll be running.
The legal authority is the court orders we have. You said the court orders were to sanction votes, not to run Venezuela. Let's be clear. He has taken this question all the way. The legal order is that we have court orders. There is no court order to run Venezuela. And if there is, well, let me see. And please. You see the sleight of hand? These motherfuckers. That's why the Republicans love a uneducated, dumb voter. That's why 45, 47 came out and said, I love the uneducated voter. Because they just parrot everything I say to their own peril. Let's continue.
Venezuela. He said it was you. He said it was the defense secretary. He said it was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Are you running Venezuela right now?
George, I've explained again that the leverage that we have here is the leverage of the quarantine. So that is a Department of War operation, conducting, in some cases, law enforcement functions with the Coast Guard on the seizure of these boats. I'm obviously very intricately involved in these policies. And by the way, very intricately involved in moving forward. And what we hope to see some of these changes being addressed. Unfortunately, the person that was there before, who was not the legitimate president of the country, was someone we could not work with, was someone that we could not. He had already suckered the Biden administration a couple of years ago on a deal he didn't keep. And this is someone we simply couldn't work with. We are hopeful that there are people in place now. We're going to find out. The proof will be in what they do or fail to do, that will start making some of these changes that will ultimately lead to a Venezuela that looks substantially and dramatically different from what's been in place for 15 years. But my number one objective is America. We care about Venezuela. We want it to do well moving forward. But our number one objective here is America. No more drugs, no more trained at agua gangs coming our direction, and no more an area of the country in our hemisphere that becomes a crossroads for every single adversary we have around the world. Hezbollah, Iran, all of them have turned it into their playground. That can and will not continue under this administration.
So is it your position now that the Vice President, Delcy Rodriguez, is now the legitimate president of Venezuela?
Well, this is not about the legitimate president. We don't believe that this regime in place is legitimate via an election, and that's not just us. It's 60-something countries around the world that have taken that view as well, including the European Union. But we understand that there are people in Venezuela today who are the ones that can actually make changes. So, for example, when we want to send in the migrant flights, even though we never recognized the Maduro regime as legitimate, we had to deal with the authorities that control the airport. We had to deal with the people who had guns and the people who had control of the airports. We had to deal with them to achieve these objectives. That's different from recognizing their legitimacy. Ultimately, legitimacy for their system of government will come about through a period of transition and real elections, which they have not had. And by the way, it's the reason why Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He's illegitimate president. He was not the head of state. And I continue to see these media reports referring to him as President Maduro and the head of state. He was not the head of state. He was not the head. And it's not just us saying it. The Biden administration said it. And so did 60-something countries around the world hold that position.
The president said that you spoke with the Vice President Rodriguez and that she promised to do whatever the United States needs. But in her televised statement, she was pretty defiant, saying that Maduro is still president and that the Venezuelan people will no longer be slaves or the colony of an empire. That's a quote. What exactly did she say to you, and what comes next?
Well, we're not going to judge moving forward based simply on what's said in press conferences. We want to see action here at the end of the day. Rhetoric is one thing. You see rhetoric for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different reasons why people go on TV and say certain things in these countries, especially 15 hours or 12 hours after the person who used to be in charge of the regime is now.
We're not going to go on rhetoric. We're not going to go on what she said to us. We have no answer for that. We have absolutely no answer. But they have come up with an answer that they will take her out as well. But he wants to pretend like, no, we're not trying to take over their government. We had an arrest warrant.
In handcuffs and on his way to New York. So what I will say is, moving forward, it's very simple. We're not going to be reactive here to statements at press conferences or what people say in a certain interview or what some media post somewhere. What we are going to react to is very simple. What do you do? Not what you're saying publicly. What happens? What happens next? Did the drugs stop coming? Are the changes made? Is Iran expelled? Is Hezbollah no longer able and Iran no longer able to operate against our interests from Venezuela? Does the migration pattern stop? The drug trafficking boats end? Do you deal with the ELN and the FARC, two narco-terrorist organizations who control territory and operate with impunity from the territory of Venezuela against the interests of Colombia and the United States? These are the things we want to address.
Against the interests of Colombia and the United States, the same Colombia that 47 was talking about making strikes on, that same Colombia. You're worried about the interests of Colombia and the United States. Is that what we're doing now? You're so worried about the interests of Colombia that you're going to strike them. This is a whole lot of gobbly goo bullshit. They're there to make the oil interest rich. This is why they took our tax dollar, our treasure of how much money was spent of your tax dollars as tens of millions of people in the United States are about to go through the worst healthcare crisis in this country. But they don't have money for that. All of this is to make a few people richer.
If they are addressed, that's how we'll judge it. If they're not addressed, that's how we'll judge it.
And what happens if they're not addressed?
Well, as I said, we retain all the options we had before this raid and this capture and this arrest was made. We continue. The quarantine is in place right now. If you are a sanctioned boat and you are headed towards Venezuela, you will be seized either on the way in or on the way out with a court order that we get from judges in the United States. We will continue to enforce our sanctions. And that is going to continue to happen until such time as changes are made. I cannot overstate how crippling this is for their future. On the other hand, there's an alternative to that. And here's the alternative. And that is an oil industry that actually benefits the people, that actually goes to the benefit, not of people, of the people, not just 2 or 3 or 5 people who are stealing it, and certainly not to Iran.
And certainly not to Iran. You, a oil-rich nation, cannot sell your oil to whomever you choose. You must sell it to people who are on a approved list of the United States. And you cannot bring in different countries to pump the oil out of your ground. It must be U.S. companies. Capiche? We can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way.
Or any of the other sanctioned entities that we're going after.
But how does the United States intend to secure the oil fields?
Not just 2 or 3 or 5 people who are stealing it, and certainly not to Iran or any of the other sanctioned entities that we're going after.
But how does the United States...
You can't sell it to Iran or any other of the other sanctioned entities that we are going after. This is what you can't do with your own national resources, your own natural resources. Make that make sense. And where does that make sense? Where does that make sense? The last time I showed you Marco Rubio was doing the crackhead face, the sniffing of the nose, the rubbing of the tongue over the cheeks. He must have some of that good to make us believe that anything he's saying makes sense. It looks like he's been on a run. Look at him sitting up there with these sagging eyes. This looks like a junkie who is sitting up here telling you junkie tales. But you have these 45, 47 people believing that there has been some victory in any of this. Well, you have people who act like the United States hasn't gone in and tried to topple governments, and it has never benefited the United States. You have people who don't know history. You have people who have no curiosity. So the best they can do is parrot talking points. And as long as the talking point is, yeah, go right, all right, America, America's great, America's number one. Now, they can just parrot talking points. And they think that they are winning something. As the United States is in a rapid decline. I don't like to see it. But if you don't see it, there's nothing you are going to be able to do about it. America first. Where's this America first? Where's this America first? Where is this America first? What does America has to do with who Venezuela choose to sell their oil to? Absolutely nothing. Because the the oil executives are the ones who a couple of 5 or 6 people are the ones who are being hurt, and their boards and their shareholders. How does this benefit the American citizen? It does not. But who paid for it? The American tax dollar paid for all of this. And people are so dumb.
States intend to secure the oil fields. Won't that take U.S. troops?
Well, ultimately, this is not about securing the oil fields. This is about ensuring that no sanctioned oil can come in and out until they make changes to the governance of that entire industry. Because right now, that industry is non-existent in the traditional way. These oil fields basically are pirate operations. People literally steal the oil from the ground. That's how they hold this regime together. A handful of cronies benefit from this oil, specific oil wells. They're producing at like 18% capacity because the equipment is all decrepit, and they basically pocket the money to their benefit. They sell the oil at a discount in global markets, 40 cents on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar, but all that money goes to them. Those oil fields have not benefited the people of Venezuela in over a decade, but they have made multi-millionaires, billionaires, out of just a handful of people, and that's what's held this regime together. That's what needs to be addressed. The way to address it to the benefit of the Venezuelan people is to get private companies that are not
They have made multi-millionaires billionaires. Isn't that the same thing that 47 is doing for himself and his family? Isn't you have made a multi-billionaire a trillionaire? Pretty soon, with Elon Musk's pay package being $1 billion, as Tesla has fallen to the number 2 electric car company. A loser is still winning. Because you set him up in our government to make it seem like he was doing something in our government, taking the American citizens' jobs away, and then that doofus get $1 billion pay package. He was already a multi-billionaire who will soon be the first trillionaire. So, do you have a problem with it or not? BYU, the Chinese electric car, has overtaken Tesla as the number 1 selling electric car. We are paying losers billions and making them trillionaires for being losers and for taking American jobs and health insurance. Let that sink in, giving them tax breaks to the point where they cannot afford us to give you a subsidy so you can afford health insurance. Make that make sense. But this is his argument. This is the argument that he sits on national TV and tell all these dumb yokels, and they believe me. Yeah, go ahead, Donald. No, go ahead, Trump. Trump is our daddy. Daddy, go ahead. Make him mad, daddy. And as they get absolutely nothing. As their trailer is tipping through one side, as their trailers are rusting out, as their children are sleeping on their couch, all in their homes because they cannot afford a apartment or a home for themselves. As they make the abnormal normal. To try to pretend as if they are voting for something that is helping the United States. Let's continue.
from Iran or somewhere else to go in, invest in the equipment that hasn't been invested in 20 years because none of the profits that have been made from the oil have been reinvested. It's all been stolen. And that's going to take outside companies that come in and know how to do that. The people who do this stuff will know how to do it. But it all begins with
That's going to take outside companies, American companies that know how to do it, and they haven't reinvested in there. What was that? What does that have to do with you and how you live your life? Isn't I think Shell, one of our American companies, are still there. What does that have to do with you and how you live your life? Yeah. Why do you have to tilt the the scale to America about something that has absolutely nothing to do with you. If you need oil, you buy your oil. Who are you to tell? Who are you to tell Venezuela who they can or cannot sell their oil to? Why are we so worried about the oil infrastructure in Venezuela? However, we're not concerned about the infrastructure of American cities and states. And now all of a sudden, infrastructure is important. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? This is what this motherfucker had the nerves to tell you.
Dramatic changes at the way on the way that the authorities that are in charge of that industry behave. And until those changes happen, this quarantine will remain in place.
Chevron is the only American company working in Venezuela right now, only American oil company working in Venezuela right now. Have you gotten commitments from any other U.S. oil companies to go in?
Of course he has.
I haven't spoken to U.S. oil companies in the last few days, but we're pretty certain that there will be dramatic interest from Western companies, non-Russian, non-Chinese companies will be very interested. Our refineries and
Why is it important that it's a non-Russian, non-Chinese companies? Why is that so important? Because Russia and Chinese is part of the BRICS. That's why it's important. No Russian, no Chinese. But I thought that Vladimir is 45, 47. Oh, my friend Vladimir. Oh, me and Chi, we get along so swimmingly. Oh, Chi and I, we're such good friends. So why is it so important that there is no Russian or Chinese influence working on the oil reserves and the oil structure of Venezuela's oil? Can you tell me that? Huh? Can you tell me that? BRICS. Brazil, Russia. Who is I? Who is the I in BRICS? India, China, and South Africa. And many, 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 many more nations have joined the BRICS. Why is it important?
the Gulf Coast of the United States are the best. And he's pretty certain that there will be dramatic interest from Western companies, non-Russian, non-Chinese companies will be very interested. Our refineries in the Gulf Coast of the United States are the best in terms of refining this heavy crude. And there's actually been a shortage of heavy crude around the world. So I think there would be tremendous demand and interest from private industry if given the space to do it, if given the opportunity to do it. And that will spin off tremendous royalties for the people of Venezuela, to benefit the people of that country, not the handful of people at the top, but the people. And you know, that can happen. There will be interest. I haven't spoken to.
You notice how he can never be specific how this is going to benefit the people of Venezuela, because he don't give a fuck. He don't. They have not tried. They didn't even try hard enough to give you an example in a way how this would benefit the Venezuelan citizen, because they don't give a fuck. Because it's going to benefit billionaires. And they put this out here like they care about the Venezuelan people. If they care so much about the Venezuelan people, how come is it not being widely reported that over 90 people were killed in this attack to make a arrest of someone who had a warrant? How come to make the arrest of someone who had a warrant, they were shooting missiles in Venezuela, in many different areas in Venezuela? But they are not. But they want you to know that no American lost their lives. But they're not telling you about the Venezuelan people who have lost theirs.
The companies since all of this has happened. I'm certainly aware of who they are. And I have spoken to Secretary Wright and Secretary Burgum and others and I know they'll soon be sort of taking an assessment and speaking to some of these companies. But I don't have any concerns that there won't be interest. There'll be tremendous interest if it can be done the right way.
I'm still not clear on what the legal authority is for the United States to run the country of Venezuela, but several members of Congress and other legal experts have said this operation to take Maduro was illegal because you didn't see congressional authorization. Why wasn't congressional authorization necessary?
It wasn't necessary because this was not an invasion. We didn't occupy a country. This was an arrest operation. This was a law enforcement operation. He was arrested on the ground in Venezuela by FBI agents, read his rights, and removed from the country. I encourage everyone. I know it's Sunday, people are busy, but the indictments have now been unsealed. People should read this indictment. They should read this indictment. They should read what this man did for the last 15 years of his life against the United States, him and his wife. He was arrested. Obviously, this was not a friendly territory. So in order to arrest him, we had to ask the Department of War to become involved in this operation. The Department of War went in, they hit anything that was a threat to the agents that were going in to arrest him, and they hit anything that was a threat on the way out, and they hit anything that was a threat to them while they were on the ground. And that was a very limited and targeted operation. It is also a trigger-based operation. All kinds of conditions had to be in place. The weather had to be right. He had to be staying in a certain spot. Everything had to be in place for order that to happen. You can't congressionally notify something like this for two reasons. Number one, it will leak. It's as simple as that.
Now, let's get to the why Congress wasn't notified. Because we didn't want it to get out. There's a team of 8 where they will notify them about any pending strikes. That team of 8 is consistent of Democrats and Republicans. When they did that strike on Iran, they only notified the Republicans in that team of 8. They didn't notify the Democrats. He said they didn't notify them because they didn't want it to get out. And everything had to be right. The weather, where he was sitting, I thought he was in the bed. Everything, so everything had to be right. We had to wait for weather, and it was a break in the weather. Who else had to wait for the weather? Who did get congressional approval? The Dwight Eisenhower had to wait on the weather to storm the beaches of Normandy. Did you know that? Did you know that he had congressional approval to storm the beaches of Normandy? And did you know that they had to postpone their strike because there was a certain storm, and they weren't even sure if they were going to be able to have an open window to strike the beaches of Normandy because of the weather? So are we going to pretend like he is telling us something that is so new and unique? Is that what we're doing? And it would have gotten out. Are you aware? Are the people in the chat aware that this strike had already gotten out? And it probably got out on another signal chat. The New York Times and the Washington Post already had the information prior to this strike, and they decided to sit on that information. So all of this, we couldn't do it because it would have gotten out if we had did what we are lawfully supposed to do and get a vote from Congress, because we didn't want it to get out. The New York Times and the Washington Post already had their, all they had to do was fill in a couple of blanks in their story because they already had the information. While he bullshitting you. While he is bullshitting you, like the Atlantic already have the information about the strike on the Houthis, because you have a motherfucking keg breath over the Department of Defense. There is no such thing as a Department of War, because that is something else that they also didn't get congressional approval to do. And until they do, it is always and still will be the Department of Defense. These simple concepts.
that. And number two, trigger-based op, and that was a very limited and targeted operation. It is also a trigger-based operation. All kinds of conditions had to be in place. The weather had to be right. He had to be staying in a certain spot. Everything had to be in place for order that to happen. You can't congressionally notify something like this for two reasons. Number one, it will leak. It's as simple as that. And number two, it's an exigent circumstance. It's an emergent thing that you don't even know if you're going to be able to do it. We can't notify them we're going to do it on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, because at some points we didn't know we were going to be able to carry this out. We didn't know if all of the things that had to line up were going to line up at the same time in the right conditions. You know, he had to be at the right place at the right time with the right weather and all sorts of things like that. So those are very difficult to notify. But the number one reason is operational security.
We couldn't tell you that we were going to do it on a Tuesday. We couldn't tell you we were going to do it on a Wednesday. The weather had to be right. This is a unique situation in American military advancements. A very unique. We never had faced anything like this before. Bullshit. This is what this clown got on national TV and said.
Would have put as you know, carried this on in harm's way. And frankly, a number of media outlets had gotten leaks that this was coming and held it for that very reason. And we thank them for doing that, or lives could have been lost.
You thank the media who got leaks. How did the media get these leaks though? But you said that you didn't want to alert Congress because it would leak out, but it still leaked out. So if you guys were the only one who knew about it, how did it leak out to the media? So your whole theory about you couldn't alert Congress, the thing that you're supposed to do by law, you couldn't do that because it would leak out, and it leaked out anyway. So you can't blame members of Congress. So the only person who is to blame is your ineptness and your inept leadership in this administration. Let's be real clear.
As you know, the Congressional Gang of Eight has a history of not leaking. But you mentioned the indictment of Mr. Maduro, and of course it does detail his drug running operations. In the same jurisdiction, the former president of Honduras was actually convicted on similar charges, yet the president pardoned him. Here's what the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, had to say about that. He said, "You cannot credibly argue that drug trafficking charges demand invasion in one case while issuing a pardon in another." What's your response?
Well, the president has the pardon authority. He's the one that reviewed the file with the folks at the White House to make these pardon decisions, and I refer questions to them on it because I'm not involved in the pardon process. So I can't comment on that because I wasn't involved in that process. But the president outlined yesterday that he felt that in that particular case, there was unfairness. And that there was unfairness in the way that individual was treated. And he also pointed to the fact that the party that's now won the elections in Honduras had asked for this. And so I would point to those.
The party that won the election in Honduras, they asked for this. So therefore, you're gonna pardon drug traffickers as you invade another country, saying that they are narco drug traffickers. Is that what you're trying to tell me? The party that won in Honduras asked you to release someone who was found guilty on bringing 400 tons of drugs into the United States, as you try to say that Venezuela, or who is not a big drug hub, as you try to say that you're arresting their leader for being a narco drug dealer. Is that what you're saying? Okay, but see, what the question was is how can you? It was not how can the president? Because we know why he did it. We know that something more or likely was in his put in his pockets to do it. We know he is a pay for play type of person. But the question was, how can you rationalize it? Well, I am not over the pardon. He has the pardon pleasure and all. How can you rationalize it though? You, you.
Comments as a rationale for it. In the case of Maduro, look, it's very simple. This guy was indicted. No one ever did anything about it. He didn't think he was under threat or that the indictment was ever going to be enforced. It was enforced yesterday.
Hernandez was convicted by a jury.
I understand. You're asking me. The pardon authority is something that, I'm not involved in my role.
I understand that. One man is indicted, and he thought that nothing could ever happen to him. Well, Hernandez should have thought nothing could happen to him once 45, 47 got into office, and it was made clear that the pardon was for sale. It seems like he had nothing to worry about either. Now let's get into he said the people who won in Honduras, they asked him to do this. These are the same people who were in third place prior to the pardon. They were in third place in the election prior to the pardon. Then they shot up to first place. Who was the woman in first place? The woman who wanted to stop Peter Thiel from building all of these little tech villages where they pay no taxes to Honduras. The ones who was closing down the billionaires Peter Thiel tech community, where they're sitting up there doing all of these type of freaky scientific inserting chips in their bodies and all of this bullshit, and living like kings, talking about they're going to employ Venezuelans, and they give them menial fucking jobs, and are not even paying the minimum wage that they would have to pay in the United States. Billionaires, the invite only tech utopias. Strange how that worked. Isn't that strange? Isn't that peculiar? Isn't that strange how that worked? But he gonna pretend like none of this matters. And your for-profit media is not going to do real reporting. They're going to take their script from these people who have bought and paid for your news, and put in crones like Barry Weiss. There was a news guy who's taking over CBS Nightly News. And what he got on the fucking program, and he said, I am not going to be relying on experts. I am going to go on what I feel. And he's taking over the nightly news. He's not going to rely on experts. Did you know that? If you learned anything, you are more than welcome to help me meet my goals, because it is a lot of shit that has gone under the carpet. It's not being talked about, to your own peril.
I'm not criticizing it. I can't just comment on it because I just wasn't involved in those deliberations.
Do you support it?
I wasn't involved in those deliberations. I haven't looked at the case file.
Do you support it doesn't mean that I wasn't involved in those deliberations. I'm pretty sure anybody who has an opinion on this man being pardoned after bringing 400 tons and found guilty and was convicted of it. I'm pretty sure none of us has gone over it. I thought that we are supposed to trust our justice. We always trust Lady Justice when people are of certain colors are convicted of crimes that they didn't commit. We're supposed to justice is blind. We're supposed to trust our judicial system. We don't have to review every case to have an opinion on every case. Do you trust it or not? Do you believe that it was right or wrong? I didn't review the case, and this is so much bullshit. This is who was on our Sunday show.
I haven't looked at the arguments made by, I've got a bunch of other things going on that are within my purview as Secretary.
I must see the arguments of the case. Can somebody bring me the brief? I must go over the opening statements and I can't say if I agree with this because they brought the attorneys to the bench, and I didn't get to hear the discussion that they were having at the bench when the judge brought the attorneys to the bench and had a conversation. I can't decide. I need all the facts.
Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, but pardons aren't one of them. So I can't comment on a case that, frankly, I'm aware of, but not deeply and familiar with, and I don't want to comment on something that I haven't had a chance to be involved in reviewing the file and the rationale behind it.
Mr. Secretary, thanks for your time this morning.
Of course, Marco Rubio ends that interview by saying that he doesn't know about the pardoning of the...
Okay, so this link is also in my description box. That link is under something Rubio something. Now he also showed.
So around the same time that Secretary of State Marco,
he also showed up on. I think this is Meet the Press. This link is also going to be in my description box. Go over here and please check out these people. I think this is Couch Politics. Pondering Politics. This is Pondering Politics. I do also always drop a link for Couching Politics. This is Pondering Politics. I recommend this channel highly. So let's see what he was saying on Meet the Press. Here we go.
All right, folks, I want to play a couple of clips here. Two separate interviews from today. Marco Rubio humiliating Donald Trump 2 more times. And remember, Juan Orlando Hernandez is the former president of Honduras. And he was not only indicted, he was successfully convicted, which meant he was found guilty of drug trafficking tons of cocaine into the United States over a span of decades. Trump pardoned him about a month ago. At the same time, Trump and Rubio and Hegseth claim it was necessary to invade, attack, and kidnap Venezuela, or attack Venezuela and kidnap Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela, because he was a drug trafficker, trafficking drugs into the United States. So this is obviously inconsistent, right? Watch Marco Rubio struggle to deal with this in 2 separate interviews on live TV.
That's going to stop.
And yet, Mr. Secretary, a month ago, President Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was just starting a 45-year sentence for trafficking more than 500 tons of cocaine. Does that not undercut the administration's stated goal, as you just said, to go after these narco-terrorists?
Before he answers, just look at him. He's like, oh, fuck. No. Oh, he just wants to melt into a puddle, but he can't. So watch him flounder and humiliate his boss.
Number one, the former president of Honduras. So this is not someone who was in power, had any influence with the politics of Honduras any longer. Number two, I don't do the pardon file. I'm not against it or for it. I just didn't review the file. So I can't speak to you about the dynamics that led the president to make the decision that he made. I think he talked about it yesterday at the press conference. He reviewed the file. He went through the arguments in it, and he felt that the former president of Honduras was treated very unfairly by the previous administration and made the decision that he made. But I think the answer, whether you agree with that decision or not, people can disagree.
One second. You can be delusional all you want, but what you cannot be in my chat is disrespectful to me. And if you can stay off topic and you can try to divert attention away from what you ignore, But if you come in my chat and say something dumb or disrespectful to me, you will be booted from my chat. Capiche? We can do it the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. But don't come in my chat disrespecting me or anyone in my chat. Stupid. Let's continue.
I mean, there's people out there who make a living out of disagreeing with anything President Trump does. That doesn't mean you leave Maduro in place. That doesn't mean you don't go after Maduro. That's not the answer. I see people saying that. It's like, well, you know, how can you go after Maduro if you didn't do this? That's absurd. The answer to that, whether you have a problem with it or not, is not to leave in place someone.
No, it is. It's perfectly fair to criticize you because it suggests it's really not about drug trafficking and you don't give a damn about drug trafficking because you're unprincipled and inconsistent. It sure seems like this is a regime change war meant to expropriate another country's natural resources, specifically their oil. So they are right to hit you on that. And of course, you will always lose the debate. But Marco Rubio is not a dumb guy. He's a smart guy. He really is very smart. And he knows he's fucked. He will always lose any sort of confrontation on that, which is why he said on live TV that he doesn't support. It's like, I don't oppose, but he also said one of the worst phrases you can do as a Trump loyalist. I don't support what Trump did, because of course he doesn't. Deep down, Marco Rubio, you can see it on his face. He doesn't support what Trump did with respect to that pardon, but he's too much of a coward to actually provide any meaningful opposition to it. So the best he can do is have a foot in both worlds and hope that Trump doesn't notice. But then he made the mistake of humiliating Trump a second time in a second interview in one day.
Case of Maduro, look, it's very simple. This guy was indicted. No one ever did anything about it. He didn't think he was under threat or that the indictment was ever going to be enforced. It was enforced yesterday.
Hernandez was convicted by a jury.
I understand. You're asking me. The pardon authority is something that, you know, I'm not involved in my role. I'm not criticizing it. I can't just comment on it because I just wasn't involved in those deliberations.
Do you support it?
I wasn't involved in those deliberations. I haven't looked at the case file. I haven't looked at the arguments made by, you know, I've got a bunch of other things going on that are within my purview as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, but pardons aren't one of them. So I can't comment on a case that, frankly, I'm aware of, but not deeply and familiar with. And I don't want to comment on something that I haven't had a chance to be involved in reviewing the file and the rationale behind it.
Mr. Secretary, thanks for your time this morning.
Look at him. Oh, my God. Look at him. Somebody described it that Marco Rubio is the only one in the cabinet, the expression is, who knows he's going to hell, right? Like, he's the only one with enough wherewithal to go, oh, I've sold my soul. I mean, look at him. He is miserable. He's miserable. He hates his life. It's like one of those, it's like some sort of like deeply tragic play, you know, of a protagonist who's sacrificed all of his principles for power and is deeply miserable as he does it. New York Times weighs in on this. A pardon and prosecution in New York show Trump's personal geopolitics. The facts in the cases of Nicolas Maduro and Juan Orlando Hernandez are strikingly similar. The men's fates are not. Two Latin American strongmen were charged in Manhattan with corrupting their governments, using state power to import hundreds of tons of cocaine into the United States. One, the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, was abruptly pardoned by Trump last month. The other, Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela, was captured on Saturday in a military raid that Secretary of State Marco Rubio characterized as a law enforcement operation. Maduro was brought to the United States to face allegations of narco-terrorism. The divergent fates of the two men accused of similar crimes by the same prosecutor's office underscore the way that Donald Trump and his aides are using the federal justice system to conduct a highly personalized geopolitics. Trump, when asked on Saturday about his December pardon of Hernandez in light of the operation against Maduro, made no attempt to disguise his feelings about Hernandez. He saw himself in Hernandez. Quote, the man I pardoned was, if you'd equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was head of the country. The contradiction prompted an outcry from Trump's political opponents. Quote, you cannot credibly argue that drug trafficking charges demand invasion in one case while issuing a pardon in another, said Senator Mark Warner, Democrat of Virginia. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York has long been the most prominent federal prosecutor's office in the country, and for years was known as its independence from Washington. It took on Wall Street, prosecuted high-ranking political officials from both parties, and in 2022, charged the ex-president of Honduras in what authorities would later characterize as, quote, one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world. 2 years later, prosecutors asked a judge to ensure that Hernandez died in prison, saying that he'd abused his power, had connections to violent traffickers, and was responsible for, quote, unfathomable destruction cocaine had caused in the United States. Trump pardoned him nonetheless.
My boy Donnie Jr., he's still living. Donnie Jr. I had no problem with that. Where's the Donnie Jr.? Okay. Now we see that we are in a full blown conversation of the hypocrisy of 47. Now let's continue.
Less. Quote, Trump thinks he can use federal criminal prosecutions for any purpose, which is to say promote his foreign policy views, to promote his vendettas, and to promote his self-interest, and to promote his perceived political interests, said Bruce Green, a former federal prosecutor who teaches legal ethics at Fordham Law School in New York. It goes on to say what Rubio has said about this. Quote, pushed by the anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who emphasized Hernandez's conviction by a jury, Rubio appeared to grow frustrated. He said he was not involved. And again, didn't enthusiastically support the corrupt pardon because he knows it's corrupt. He knows it's indefensible. He knows he will always lose. And he knows if the shoe were on the other foot, he'd be bitching nonstop, rightly, about a Democrat pardoning Hernandez. Both the Hernandez and Maduro cases began as DEA investigations around 2010, were investigated by the same DEA unit, and were handled by the same investigative unit in the Southern District. Each prosecution was led at various stages by Emil Bove III, who eventually rose to lead the office's Terrorism and International Narcotics Unit. After leaving the office, Bove became a criminal defense lawyer for Trump and then a top Justice Department official. He's now a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 3rd District. The factual similarities in the cases are striking. It's not just that the charges resemble one another. Prosecutors also accuse both men of overseeing key way stations in the same hemispheric trade. Taken together, the indictments provide a bird's-eye view of the supply chain that for years has brought processed cocaine from Colombia and Venezuela to shipment points in Honduras and ultimately into the United States. Hernandez was charged in 2022 with conspiring to import cocaine into the United States and using machine guns as part of the conspiracy. The charges unveiled against Maduro on Saturday also include a cocaine importation conspiracy and possession of machine gun charges as part of it. The combination of the trafficking and gun charges make the potential penalties in such prosecutions more severe. And so, again, it goes on like this. It goes deep into the history of it. But, again, Trump pardoned the guy because it's not about drugs. Mediaite reports Trump shredded over bombshell arrest 1 month after pardoning drug trafficking president. Miles Taylor, former Trump official, called Trump out for this. December, Trump gives sweetheart pardon to a drug kingpin president. January, Trump bombs a country to arrest a drug kingpin president. If you think this is about the war on drugs, you're fooling yourself. Democratic strategist and influencer Adam Park-Menico put a finer point on it. If Maduro is convicted and sentenced by the U.S. government for running drug trafficking networks, would Trump then pardon him the same way he just pardoned the former Honduran president, who was also convicted and sentenced in the United States? Jim Acosta noted, a quote, almost 1 month ago to the day, Trump pardoned a drug trafficking president from Latin America. Joe Walsh, former Republican congressman, says, and that's how this will end too, just like Hernandez, Maduro will buy himself a sweetheart pardon from Trump in 3 years. Book it. None of this has anything to do with drugs. S.V. Dante of Huffington Post says if Maduro is truly a drug kingpin, Trump will pardon him. It's what he did with the ex-president of Honduras just a few weeks ago. And PSA for this is J.D. Vance, for anyone saying this was illegal, Maduro has multiple indictments in the U.S. for narco-terrorism. You don't get to avoid justice for drug trafficking in the U.S. just because you live in a palace in Caracas. To which Joe from Jersey says, unless you're this guy, then you get pardoned and released. And so on and so forth. People are rightly mocking Trump for this as well they should. It's not about principle. It's not about drug enforcement. It's not about law enforcement. It's corruption. And even Marco Rubio knows it, which is why he answered the way he did, humiliating his boss once again, and also humiliating himself because, Marco, we all know you know better, and we all know you sold your soul for political expediency, and that makes you a particular type of coward and loser, and you should be made fun of for the rest of your life. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.
When you go and meet with China.
Okay, that is also under the Marco Rubio banner. Let me see. I think I have one from Keg Breath. It is short because we know. I think It's on. What is going on? Okay, hold on. Let me.
prices. And so effectively for countries like Korea, France, Germany, wherever, like countries that aren't China and that countries that aren't USA, you're like, okay, how can I trade with both China and
Okay, let me see. What is he talking about? Let me. I'll go to a cake breath. I'm back. I apologize. StreamYard. No, StreamYard kicked me out. Thank you all for waiting. I am back. I appreciate your patience, and I had to totally reboot my whole system. I appreciate you waiting. Uh, so, is there anything that you saw this weekend that you would like to talk about? We can talk together. Anything? You're more welcome to join the conversation. Okay. Okay. So you guys hear me well. So There are. I had. Hmm. There's another thing that I want to share with you. Hold on 1 second. Let's get into it. Okay. Okay. Let me let me see. What else did I want to share with you? Hmm. Uh, this is Trump says he'll run Venezuela. This is why he's not. If you are not familiar with David, uh, uh, I think his name is Fieldman. Uh, you may want to go over there and give him a click and a view. Very, very interesting and cantankerous man. Uh, let me uh, let me play with you. Play
Trump
for you.
says, pay attention to what he does, and don't listen to what he says about what he does. Pay attention to what reliable sources say he has done. And Trump did something. So here is the latest on absolute resolve, Donald Trump's land invasion of Venezuela. As of early Sunday morning, the New York Times is reporting that 40 Venezuelans, soldiers and civilians, were killed by the United States military in their attack on Venezuela, which resulted in the capture of that country's president, Nicolas Maduro. The entire operation reportedly took under 2.5 hours. No American service members were killed. One U.S. aircraft was reportedly hit, an attack helicopter, but it was able to fly out of danger. 150. There was just a show of force that there would be no invasion. By September, the airstrikes on suspected Venezuelan forces, it was just posturing. Again, or not whether or not our soldiers are deployed or are in danger. The New York Times, with a timeline of events leading up to the invasion, showing Trump's buildup in the Caribbean of military assets, began in August of 2025. Everyone thought it was just posturing. Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, told Congress that sending the world's largest aircraft carrier down there was just a show of force, that there would be no invasion. By September, the airstrikes on suspected Venezuelan drug dealers in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific began. Venezuela doesn't border the Eastern Pacific, but we were shooting up supposed Venezuelan narco-terrorists in the Eastern Pacific. According to the New York Times, at least 115 of these so-called narco-terrorists were killed in about 135 separate airstrikes that we know of. And then, in late December, Trump let slip that the CIA had conducted drone strikes on a Venezuelan port, a land attack. And by the end of 2025, there was a complete air and naval blockade in and around Venezuela. So Hegseth is right when he told Barry Weiss's CBS News that Trump is a man of action. He kept saying that during his interview on Barry Weiss's CBS News, that Donald Trump is a man of action. But action doesn't mean you did something good. In June, Trump phoned in airstrikes over Iran, then declared victory, but Iran still won't let in the UN inspectors. And now there's talk of more airstrikes on Iran. In March, Trump declared victory over the Houthis in Yemen. He killed hundreds of civilians, but the Houthis are still firing missiles into Israel and the Red Sea. Yeah, he's a man of
the man of peace and the man of solving all conflicts. The conflict that Pete Kegbreath broadcast over a Signal unsecure app, the Houthis. Remember that? They are still doing whatever the fuck they want to do. But 4547 told you that they said that, hey, we cry uncle and we're done fighting and we have nothing else to give. So they're no longer fighting the Houthis, but the Houthis are still fighting in the Black Sea. But we are supposed to forget all of this because they're throwing so much illegal shit at you that you don't remember that. They're not reporting to you about that. Your for-profit media. If you learned something new here today, you can support the channel.
Action. Trump peacocked on Saturday, much like he did back in June when he bombed Iran. Trump said the next target will probably be Cuba. He said, quote, I think Cuba is going to be something we end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now. Invading Cuba. You know, Trump might want to check with Dr. Bobby Kennedy Jr. about how invading Cuba worked out for his Uncle Jack. You're looking at a 100% authentic artificial intelligence photograph of Bobby Kennedy Jr. performing a tummy tuck. Tummy tuck, I believe, is what the White House calls an abortion. Dr. Bobby Kennedy Jr. Yes, he should make all your health care decisions. Trump then said he was authorized to invade Venezuela and Cuba thanks to the Monroe Doctrine, which claims America's right to intervene in any South American country that it sees fit. Trump bragged that no president has used the Monroe Doctrine the way he has. He said, quote, we superseded the Monroe Doctrine by a lot, by a real lot. He knows good words. He added that they are starting to call it the Donroe Doctrine. By them, he means him calling it the Donroe Doctrine. Most of us are just calling it World War Trump. Because it's Trump and we have absolutely no idea what is fiction and what is a lie, we just have to listen to other people. Because sometimes fiction comes out of Donald Trump's mouth and sometimes it's a lie. For example, Trump claimed on Saturday that the vice president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, is now in charge. And he praised her, saying she has signaled a willingness to do what he wants. He says, we're going to get to make Venezuela great again, and she's on board. But the vice president of Venezuela told reporters there is only one president in this country, and his name is Nicolas Maduro. No, she's not cooperating with our lying president. Rodriguez, early after Saturday's invasion, demanded proof that Maduro and his wife were still alive. Maduro's wife was apprehended along with her husband, and she also faces charges of narco-terrorism, conspiracy to engage in narco-terrorism. And that's tricky. When husbands and wives conspire to commit acts of narco-terrorism, it's been known to put a strain on the relationship. What happens often is the couples no longer recognize where the line is between husband and wife and co-conspirators in narco-terrorism. That's why you have to turn off the phone, put away all the electronic, I call it mutual self-care. Otherwise, it's tough. Rodriguez, vice president of Venezuela, has been accused Trump of invading her country for the sole purpose of seizing Venezuela's oil reserves, which I've been telling you since September. Venezuela has the largest known oil reserves in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia's. Maduro's predecessor, Hugo Chavez, nationalized Venezuela's oil industry in 2007. How dare he think that their oil belongs to them? ConocoPhillips says they are owed several $billions because of the nationalization of the oil, and Exxon is owed close to $1 billion as well. Trump refused to say whether American troops will occupy Venezuela, but he made it clear that our oil companies would. He said our American oil companies will go in, spend billions to fix the infrastructure, and it's going to start making money again. In Venezuela, right now, citizens pay, you ready for this? 2 cents a gallon for their first 32 gallons of gas each month. After their first 32 gallons each month, the price of a gallon of gas in Venezuela skyrockets to 13 cents a gallon. Damn socialists. So what do you think a gallon of gas is going to run next week in Venezuela, now that the oil companies are back in charge. Supposedly, we don't know how this plays out. Trump said American oil companies will go in, they'll start drilling, and he said they're going to take a lot of oil from Venezuela so we can make a lot of money in order to take care of Venezuela. We are going to make a lot of money. So who's we? The multinational oil companies, according to Trump, are going to seize the oil. So we, I presume he means the United States, will then take care of Venezuela. So Exxon and ConocoPhillips will make billions off the oil, and that money will be used by us to take care of the people of Venezuela. He said Jesus. Well, what do you expect from a man who insists the American consumer doesn't pay for the tariffs? He said, we have the greatest oil companies in the world, and we're going to be very much involved in it. Okay, we don't have the greatest oil companies in the world. The oil companies have the greatest leaders in the world. I don't know if they're the greatest, but they have most of the leaders in the world willing to spend billions of taxpayer dollars protecting those oil company profits, especially when an upstart nation like Venezuela, which has the world's largest known oil reserves, has the audacity to believe it belongs to Venezuela. According to the Washington Post, in 2024, Trump told a group of oil executives that they should donate $1 billion to his campaign, calling it the best investment the oil industry would ever make. Well, the oil and gas sector only donated about $100 million last year directly to Trump's presidential campaign, but it's estimated they spent $500 million that year on getting Republicans elected. New York House Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez responded to news of Saturday's invasion of Venezuela by saying, it's about oil. She said that Trump wants regime change to install an oil-friendly leader, and his accusations that Maduro is a drug dealer are just a pretense. She said Maduro's drug trafficking trial in New York City is just to create the illusion that this invasion isn't about oil. Well, yeah, it now seems pretty obvious Trump was never interested in anything other than taking the oil. You might remember Mexico offered to mediate negotiations between Maduro and Trump, but Trump refused because there was nothing to negotiate other than give me your oil. He did speak on the phone occasionally with Maduro last year, but only giving ultimatums. Then in December, Trump ordered a blockade on specifically oil tankers off the coast of Venezuela. Oil couldn't come in or go out. Why? He wanted it. Then again, Mexico said, hey, let us mediate. There doesn't have to be a war. Let's sit down, you and...
Oh, Mexico. Mexico is also one of the nations that are next up. Cuba, Iran, Mexico, and Colombia. This is who... And let's not forget the rare earth mineral rich Greenland. Yes, Greenland. Okay, this is the timeline. This is in my description box under the title, Not What They Say, What They Do.
Maduro talk, Trump said there's nothing to negotiate. And then everything became clear. You might remember our military took a Venezuelan oil tanker that was sailing off Venezuela's coast. And then our country seized another oil tanker.
The reason I'm playing this, we're going back down, what a Minnie Riperton, back down memory lane. Woo, 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 woo. Back down memory lane. For all of you who don't remember all the lies and the bullshit, TDS, all of that TDS shit is laughable. The TDS, anybody who has taken on the moniker of this TDS bullshit, you're the one who have it. Because no sane person thinks that it is an insult to be called something that does not exist. So if you're so wrapped up into it, it's only because you are the one who exhibit it. So let's continue. Because what we're doing here, we're talking about the facts and all of the lies that were bought and sold. Let's go back down memory lane.
Trump was asked, what happens to that oil that we seized? He said, we keep it. I guess. That's what he said. We keep it. You guess. You know. As the military buildup in the Caribbean prepared for this invasion, Trump was open about it. He said, the threat of war will escalate until Venezuela returns the oil they stole from us. From us. They stole oil from us. We're talking about a country that nationalized their oil and cut into the profits of multinational oil conglomerates. They're not us. Exxon isn't us. ConocoPhillips isn't us. Multinational mining and oil companies have a problem with Venezuela, not us. Nobody stole oil from us. So this was going on all last month in December. And each time America seized a Venezuelan oil tanker, Gustavo Petro, president of Colombia, he's the one who accused the Pentagon of killing innocent Colombian fishermen, not innocent Venezuelan fishermen. He's been pretty open about this. The president of Colombia called the seizures of Venezuelan oil tankers a gross violation of international law. And Trump responded last month by telling the Colombian president, you're next. And then on Saturday, when the president of Colombia, Petro, criticized the American invasion of Venezuela, Trump told reporters that Petro better watch his ass because he's next. See, this administration loves talking tough. Pete Hegseth on Saturday said of Maduro, quote,
No, didn't Marco Rubio just said that, let me make sure my mic is on. But didn't Marco Rubio just say yesterday that, they have to do what's good in the interest of Colombia and the United States? But 47's said, you better watch your ass or you're next about Colombia. Make any of this make sense? You can't, because all of this is a bunch of bullshit. And all of this talking and lying is just to enrich billionaires. As the masses sit around and take on non-medical terms to describe what they're experiencing, the TDS that they experience, and believing everything this administration tells them while their life is going down the tubes. While all of these people are repeating everything that 47 does and have absolutely no commentary on what's really going on in the world that they live in. All of these bed wenches that sit up and just throw on videos of 47 telling the nation lies because if they weren't rescued from being the sex workers that they have known to be able to strive off of and be turned into bed wenches and sit up and play all of this fucking rhetoric and bullshit. Let's be real clear. This nation is fucked, in my opinion.
He effed around and he found out. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds
Remember
good.
George W. Bush told the Iraqi soldiers who bled into the community, the elite Republican Guard that was fighting back. He said, bring it on. So they love to talk tough because in the moment, it sounds good. If you have a commander-in-chief, a general, a defense secretary, a president talking tough, it means he doesn't know what he's doing. There's no plan. They have no plan. Talking tough means this invasion was for two things: the oil and politics. Nothing to do with drugs, other than whatever Pete Hegseth might be on. So here's the question. Is it about drugs? What do you think? Or politics? Or oil? J.D. Vance basically saying, why can't it be all three? Well, is it about politics? Sure. Because you'll notice J.D. Vance was down at Mar-a-Lago for the New Year's bash, but he wasn't out front making the big announcement about the big bash on Venezuela. No photos.
JD Vance has to separate himself from the person that he was the only public elected official who he called the embodiment of Hitler. JD Vance is nowhere to be seen now because his dear love Erica Kirk said that Turning Point USA is going to put their support behind JD Vance for the next election. You know, the next election that surely 45, 47, if he is still above ground, will be running for. You know, that election? Because there is not a fucking election that he is not bold enough to try to steal. Where's JD Vance? Since he got the Turning Point USA endorsement. And all 45, 47 has is the remnants of the trailer trash MAGA movement. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene has picked up her Dooney and Burke bag and exit the stage. Good question.
Of J.D. Vance in the Situation Room. So yeah, it was about politics. Where's J.D. Vance? No photos of him making the announcement. No photos of J.D. Vance in the Situation Room looking presidential. What happened? J.D. just got endorsed by Erica Kirk and Turning Point for 2028. She announced they are spending millions on Iowa for him. So no J.D. Vance in the Situation Room. No J.D. up front making the big announcement. Here's Trump announcing the bombing campaign over Iran back in June. You see, there's Hegseth, Rubio, and prominently displayed Vice President J.D. Vance. He's in on it. But then Erica Kirk endorsed J.D. for president. No J.D. in the Situation Room or making the big announcement about Venezuela.
I would advise you to avail yourself to this. I think he has a little clip I want to show you. Avail yourself. It is under. It's not what they say; it's what they do.
First, have to be pardoned by Donald Trump. Remember Juan Orlando Hernandez? He's the former president of Honduras. Trump gave him a full pardon on December 1st of last year. Prior written authorization that all reporters, cocaine going to Europe, the cocaine doesn't get mangled up. Trump, a convicted felon, calls himself America's chief law enforcer. That's how it's in the playbook. Read Jason Stanley, read the books about fascism. Trump knows what he's doing. He has studied what you do to create so much chaos. You become the only one who can create stability. So, do you believe this is about drugs? The DEA, in last year's annual drug threat assessment, that would be the drug threat assessment for 20.
You mean the same DEA who was photographed taking Maduro, guiding Maduro around? Let's see what their own agency assessed in 2004. Let's see what the DEA said about drugs in 2004.
25. The DEA said Venezuela is only
2025, not 2024. That would be just a couple of days ago.
A minor player in drugs. Do you believe this is about drugs? The threat assessment for 2025, the DEA said Venezuela is only a minor player in drug trafficking. The DEA said the two biggest drug cartels are Sinaloa and the Jalisco, both located in Mexico. And it is generally known that Venezuela only serves as a hub for cocaine distribution, but not for the cocaine coming to America, for the cocaine going to Europe. The cocaine doesn't get manufactured in Venezuela, and they have nothing to do with fentanyl. Nothing.
They have nothing to do with the weapon of mass destruction that 45, 47 wanted to declare fentanyl to be as an excuse to say that these are narco drug traffickers. And when their very own DEA agent said that all of this bullshit that the American people have been presented is bullshit. But the American people are stupid people because they take propaganda as fact, and they go out and spew lies and propaganda because they're too ignorant to know how to find the information for themselves. That's why 47 loves the uneducated voter. They walk around talking about bullshit of TDS and thinking they are spinning it, but they're actually only showing how ignorant they actually are. Because when faced with these facts, they can talk about a whole lot of stuff, but they cannot talk about the facts that are presented in their own faces. See, this man isn't telling you this. This is what the DEA said about drugs in 2025. But your tax dollar has gone to prop up oil executives and oil companies. But you have nothing to say about that. Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange? I think that is a whole minstrel show. A whole minstrel show.
Even Laura Loomer. Now, you know who Laura Loomer is. She's the QAnon conspiracist who has Trump's ear, and she's gotten plenty of White House staffers fired this year because they don't pass her Trump loyalty test. And she, Laura Loomer, is now a credentialed Pentagon reporter. She has the desk in the Pentagon occupied by the Washington Post. I'm not making this up. She has the Washington Post desk that the Post gave up to protest Defense Chief Pete Hegseth's demand that all reporters covering the Pentagon have to take what amounts to a loyalty oath. You have to promise only to report the official version of events. You're not allowed to talk. If you want to cover the Pentagon inside, you want press credentials, you have to promise not to talk to any Pentagon personnel, even on deep background or off the record, without first getting prior written authorization from Pete Hegseth. So Laura Loomer took the loyalty oath, and she's now a reporter from the Pentagon. She's doing it for Real America News. Even she criticized the airstrikes on suspected narco-terrorists that took place in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, that are taking place. She worked off the DEA's annual report from last year, and she said, what we know, fentanyl, she said, isn't manufactured at all in Venezuela. And she said cocaine isn't manufactured there. And she said, this is what she said, and it's pretty brilliant. She said Pete Hegseth knows where the real drug lords are. They're in Mexico. He knows where they live, where their compounds are. She said, why is Pete Hegseth going after suspected dealers in tiny boats when he could just bomb the compounds of these drug dealers? Excellent question, Laura. You might...
Laura Looney, of all people. But he got the American dummies out here parroting this propaganda. While half of them or more and their family members will not be able to see a doctor this year. But this is the dumb shit that they choose to talk about. This is the hill that they choose to die on. Because they only listen to the lies that are put forth from this administration. And they're not even embarrassed. But they are embarrassing. You know, I have secondhand embarrassment for the ignorance of the American people. Secondhand embarrassment. But let's continue. I'm gonna. I think that's it. This video had so much information. Let me see. Mr. President, instead of invading Venezuela to stop the flow of cocaine into this country, wouldn't it have been cheaper sending Don Jr. to rehab? There is a question for the ages. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. I have to go. Oh my God. I will be back tomorrow. There is so much more that I wanted to. There is so much more. Who are you? Are the ones who are who are would be these you? Everyone on this earth is dying. Every day you live, you are one day closer to dying. But what I am not dying of, I'm not dying of a drug overdose. I'm not dying over alcoholism because I'm not a drug addict, and nor am I an alcoholic, nor those will not be my stories. But I'm pretty sure that you and someone close to you are out here using drugs and driving, and who may actually kill someone like me. So I'm not saying that alcoholism and drug addiction may not kill me by virtue of you and your people out here on the roads drinking and driving. So with that, I'll bid you adieu. I have so much more for you tomorrow. Please avail yourself to the links because this is a excellent video, and we'll pick up where we left off on tomorrow, or I may come back this evening. All right, guys, I appreciate your support. If you want to cash out me, $ Ronnie Q, leave a comment in the description in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate it. And that's all I have for you today. Have a great day. And all right, I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
In the morning when I'm driving, I really come alive when I listen to my Ronnie, I listen to my Ronnie Q. They are rare and they are few who can compare with Ronnie Q. So grab a chair, she's coming through. She's on the air. It's time for